Every now and then, in true crime, a story resurfaces, not because it faded away, but because it tells us something about the fragility of life, the mysteries behind unsolved murders, and how justice sometimes comes years too late. Today's story begins on a cold January night in 2005, on the quiet seafront of Eastbourne, East Sussex, England, with a woman named Jennifer Kiely. It was the early hours of the 22nd of January 2005 when emergency services were called to a fire at a small coastal shelter on the Holywell seafront of Eastbourne. Fire crews arrived not just to a blaze, but to something far more chilling. Inside the shelter, amid the scorching remains, they found the body of 35-year-old Jennifer Kiely. Jennifer had been stabbed multiple times and her body set on fire. A pushchair, one she was known to use to carry her belongings, had been placed on top of her. The attack was thought to be sexually motivated, based both on the nature of the assault and the position of her body. Jennifer wasn't just a name in a headline. She was a mother of 3 whose life in the years before her death had been profoundly difficult. She'd become estranged from her family after a serious mental health breakdown in the early 2000s. During that time, she experienced periods of homelessness, moving between hostels and shelters across southern England and relying on local support networks. The pushchair she used wasn't unusual. It was how she carried her few possessions as she navigated life from place to place. It was found on top of her body. But as often happens, the story faded from the public eye as the case stalled, without answers. Authorities launched an intensive investigation in 2005. 2 people were arrested early on, but neither was charged. Police weren't able to gather enough evidence to move forward. The case grew cold, with periodic appeals over the years from law enforcement and organizations like Crime Stoppers, offering rewards, at one point up to £20,000, for information leading to a conviction. For 2 decades, Jennifer's family and investigators were left with questions. Who saw her last? Who walked her home that night? Why did no one come forward with answers? Then, almost 20 years after her death, forensic science changed everything. Police re-examined evidence from the original crime scene, including a discarded cigarette butt that had been collected but couldn't be matched to anyone at that time. Thanks to advances in DNA technology, including familial DNA matching and new techniques developed after 2018, investigators were finally able to trace that DNA to a suspect. The breakthrough came when police in the north of England linked a partial genetic profile to relatives of a man whose DNA appeared in both the cigarette and on Jennifer's body. The man was Keith Dowbekin. Dowbekin was originally from the northwest of England and was known to associate with people in the Eastbourne homeless community, which is likely how he encountered Jennifer. He has also been arrested in 2003 and 2004 by Norfolk Police on suspicion of separate rape offences, but because of the laws at that time, his DNA wasn't uploaded to the National DNA Database, meaning no match was ever made then. In fact, just a week after Jennifer's body was found, a man using one of Dowbekin's aliases was stopped at the port of Dover while sleeping rough. But he wasn't recognized as a suspect and was released. By the time investigators could formally link Dowbekin's DNA with the evidence from the scene, he was long gone. He died in 2014, at the age of 60. Because he's deceased, he cannot be charged, but Sussex Police have publicly named him as the man they believed murdered Jennifer. In response to the identification, Jennifer's family issued a heartfelt tribute. They said they were grateful for the resolution after so many years, and emphasized that Jennifer was more than her struggles, a gentle, creative soul who loved music and cared deeply for others. Her family spoke about the lasting pain of her loss, a pain that doesn't disappear even when a case is finally solved. They also expressed hope that her story would encourage greater compassion for people experiencing homelessness and mental health challenges, issues that affect many but are often overlooked. Jennifer's case reminds us that justice isn't always quick, but science keeps improving and cold cases don't have to stay cold forever. It's also a stark reminder of how society treats its most vulnerable members and how easily someone can fall through the cracks. Every piece of evidence, even something as small as a cigarette butt, can one day unlock the truth. And even if justice in the courtroom isn't possible, giving a name back to a victim, it's a powerful form of closure. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If Jennifer's story stayed with you, share this episode with others who care about justice, compassion, and cold cases that finally see the light. Stay thoughtful, stay curious, and until next time, stay safe.